What's up, YouTube? Now you see the title of this video and you see the video that I have on the screen here. Now, my original intention was to do my Anton Daniels video. But you know, I had to change course. Because after seeing this level of tap dancing by this nigga Angryman, I was like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and make this be the video that I do first. I was gonna do Angryman after Anton, but Angryman has to go first. He has to go first. I gotta, you know, deconstruct this goofy ass nigga first. I have to verbally assault this nigga first. Because this level of Samboing and tap dancing and shoe shining, man, it's like Angryman. It's like he doesn't. It's almost as if this clown thinks that nobody. It's like the echo chamber he has to keep himself in. He really believes that people are not going to put out the truth out there, man. He really believes that what he's saying is like some sort of gospel. You know, he has his little echo chamber, right? Y'all know how this clown nigga get down. You know, you can't debate him, you know, in his chat. You know, his moderators, you know, his dick riders, they'll block you, they'll time you out, whatever the fuck. And, you know, he wants to, you know, have you pay him to come on to debate him because he's afraid of an intellect, you know, coming after him because he knows he'll be deconstructed very easily. And I'm gonna prove that right now in this video. This video might be a longer one, you know, because I'm not about to try to make this quick. I'm about to deconstruct all the dumb shit I was hearing up until the point. So, you know, I'm not gonna go over this whole video, this whole 2-hour video, but it's a goddamn a mass amount of cooning and tap dancing he was doing, and I want to break down all the nonsense he was saying within that duration. And I'm gonna be pausing in between here and there, so this will be a longer video, but it has to be because I gotta you know, deconstruct this goofiness. So, you know, you see the title of his video in the top corner, right? Beyond Black Fatigue, a Raw Conversation. You know, just more of this black fatigue shit. More of this, you know, it's the blacks nonsense. You know, Angryman is trying to tap dance and appeal to, you know, racist whites who will never accept his goofy ass. You know, if this was the 1930s, they'd have his ass, you know, dangling like a Christmas ornament, if you catch my drift. But, you know, he wants to run around and play these games. You know, this goofy nigga. And this is why he's getting these tether allegations. I see a lot of people saying he's a tether because, you know, the shit he's saying doesn't line up with what an FBA would understand in this country. You know, in the lineage of understanding how, you know, a lot of these racist whites operate. Angryman is absolutely acting as if he came right off the boat from one of these, you know, these countries where these tethers come from, and acting as if, you know, he doesn't understand the history. But I'm gonna get into that, man. My monologue is a little long, I know, but you know, I gotta get all this off my chest before we get into the video. But you know, it's just lie after lie he was getting into, right? But I'm gonna go ahead and start this video, and you know, I'm gonna deconstruct, like I said, deconstruct the nonsense as we go.
I was on a panel the other day, which probably would have shaped up to be a really great show, and there were two supercharged, extreme leftist, liberal Democrat, victimhood nigglets on the panel. And the moment the show started, they immediately showed everybody what a racist black person looks like. They were so upset that Andrew Wilson was on the panel that they immediately had a chip on their shoulder.
Now, let's stop here. Like I said, this video is going to be one of my longer ones. I'm not worrying about time, but I got to deconstruct this nonsense. The tap dancer has to stop. I'm ending this dumbass nigga career. So, Angryman is referencing a panel he recently was on. I have no idea what he's talking about. And it actually doesn't matter. I don't need any of the context. You want to know why? Because he's talking about Andrew Wilson, right? He already gave me enough information. That's all I need. He's talking about Andrew Wilson. And if you don't know who Andrew Wilson is a guy who, he has his own channel called The Cubicle. You go look that up. He's one of these guys who, he likes to, he often shows himself on the whatever podcast. It's like a podcast where, they talk about women, kind of like Fresh and Fit. I can't watch that dumb ass shit. I don't give a fuck. But, they're on there debating women all day, bringing on, 304's OnlyFans models. And, they're debating them back and forth, having a little, back and forths talking about the dating scene and whatnot. Okay, cool. Feminism and whatnot. And Andrew Wilson regularly goes on that show and he, debates these women. But see, here's the problem here with Angryman, because he's trying to position this as if the black people that reacted to Andrew Wilson in a negative way are racist, right? They're racist against white people. He's going on with this goofy narrative that they've been pushing. But here's the only problem with that, Angryman, you dumbass nigga. Andrew Wilson, if you don't know who he is, you wouldn't understand why a black person would react the way they react. Because if you know who Andrew Wilson is, like I do, I know a lot of these goofies in these spaces. I've looked into all these goofies and their backgrounds. Andrew Wilson is a fucking white supremacist, bro. He's a whole white nationalist. He's an entire white nationalist. He rubs shoulders with people like Nick Fuentes. He rubs shoulders with people like Myron Gaines. And these guys, those two alone, are literally complete white supremacists. It's no exaggeration. No one's embellishing anything. Myron Gaines especially, likes to go out to college campuses, recently at least, and, spew a lot of nonsense, right? He went to a campus, not too long ago. I think it was South Carolina. And he was talking about, the blacks with their low IQ, genetically inferior to whites. And you had some goofy white boys sitting up there, crashing out. I would pull up the video now, but I don't want to really click off this. I want to stay on this video and keep going at the pace I'm going. I might make a separate video about it just to show, he was up there at a college campus, Myron Gaines, talking about, the race IQ pseudoscience that these white nationalists like to push. And, he has some bitch ass insecure white boy up there, screaming in the mic, talking about was whites are under attack, and it's like, I'm looking at dude and I'm like, your problem is that you're ugly. And you're mad about that. So you need this white supremacy to cope. Because that's all white supremacy is, white nationalism is. It's just a coping mechanism. And that's all it is. So I'm like, dude, shut up. Sit your ugly ass down. It's not our fault you're ugly, bro. But yeah, he's crashing out. And Myron Gaines was spreading that bullshit race pseudoscience. And, like I said, Andrew Wilson rubs shoulders with people like Nick Fuentes. We know how he gets down. Angryman recently made a live stream, bigging up some shit that Nick Fuentes said. I mean, the grift is insane. The tap dancing is out of this world right now by this goofy nigga. But that's probably why those black people had a problem, Angryman, with Andrew Wilson, because Andrew Wilson is a white supremacist. Andrew Wilson is a guy who hangs around another guy by the name of Jim Bob. You can look him up. He's one of these fake Christians. He runs around acting like he's holier than thou, but he's a whole white supremacist. He does a lot of JQing. By JQ, I mean Jewish question, pushing the nonsense that the Jews are attacking the whites. And, black people are genetically inferior. They're low IQ. They never built a civilization. All this shit. This is who Andrew Wilson is friends with. So Andrew Wilson is a whole white supremacist. So what Angryman is telling us is that black people reacting negatively to a white supremacist means they're racist. This nigga's an idiot.
Right. Immediately had a chip on his shoulder.
I wonder why.
I mean, it boggles the mind. It boggles the mind.
What boggles the mind
It
is the
boggles
tap
the mind.
dancing.
Like Andrew Wilson, who just happens to be a white guy,
A white
asked a
supremacist.
question. And so this modern B-dub that was on the panel, she was like, well, I'm not going to answer your questions. Which, let's be real, the obvious reason is because she wanted to prove to everybody that she doesn't have to answer to a white man. And my thing is this. Why would you have to be that adamant to prove that you don't have to answer to a white man unless you suffer from some sort of inferiority complex?
Now, right here, we got to stop again. It's funny how this goofy nigga is trying to position it as if the black people on the panel were the ones with the inferiority complex because they're reacting negatively to Andrew Wilson, when Andrew Wilson's entire ideology of white supremacy is an inferiority complex hidden under the guise of superiority, of a superiority complex. See, like I said earlier, white supremacy is nothing more than an inferiority complex, and it's nothing more than a mask of that inferiority complex using a superiority complex by latching on to the achievements that the so-called white man has amassed in this current time of history. So the so-called white man who is Edom, right? For those of you who are Israelites, y'all know what I'm talking about, right? See, these lesser whites, that's what the elites call them, not me. That's what the elites call them. They latch on to the achievements of the elites. And they run around screaming, we was Vikings, we built the worlds, we civilization builders and shit. All this dumb shit. And they had a lot of these white supremacists have inferiority complexes. And to mask that, to cope with their inferiority complex, they latch onto a white supremacist ideology. It helps them cope. So when we're looking at who has the inferiority complex, it's not the black people on the panel, dumbass nigga. It's Andrew Wilson who needs this false sense of superiority to cope with his existence. And this is something a lot of people don't talk about in these spaces. And I'm going to make it my mission to call out all of these Sambos on my channel. And I don't upload consistently, but now, it's something that's come over me recently that I'm just like, I gotta really, start uploading and try to get this channel to where I'm able to have, a good following and call out these Sambos and put out knowledge and truth. Cause these niggas, they just lying all day. I can't take it anymore, bro. I can't take this anymore. These niggas, this nigga Angryman, Anton Daniels, he's next. That potato head ass nigga. I'm about to go in on these goofies. And it's crazy to see, this nigga Angryman act like don't nobody know none of this shit. Like, we're just oblivious to the history of these niggas. Andrew Wilson's a white supremacist, like I said. The only one with the inferiority complex is him.
Am I the only one to see it that way? Am I the only one that feels like if you get on a panel, if you're a black person and you get on a panel on YouTube with white people, and you immediately start acting differently than you would normally act, that means you got a problem. Not the white person. That means you got a problem. In other words, if you can sit on a panel with other black people and have a normal discourse, have normal conversation, but the moment a white person come up there, you gotta prove to them that, oh, I'm one of the black people that's gonna make sure you know how black I am. You're gonna know that I don't tolerate anything that white people would dare attempt to do. Like we were just content creators sitting on a panel, getting ready to have a conversation. And look, anybody that saw that show, go back and look at the beginning of it. You can see the black fatigue on my face. Shout out to Romarlo. You can see the black fatigue on my face. You can see it. Because like, soon as the show started, I was excited about the show because I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a good show. This show gonna get a lot of views. It's gonna be a lot of exposure for a lot of people. And them two niggas, not Negroes, not black people, niggas. Them two niggas. As soon as they started, I was like, so this what we doing? I was so embarrassed.
This dude, Angryman, he says he was embarrassed. And see, this is something that I find to be funny too, that I see in the behavior of a lot of Sambos and tap dancers, is that they, we know they seek white validation, right? But I find it funny how it's like you feel embarrassed for what? A few niggas on the panel that's you think are acting out, for no apparent reason other than he's white, when, like I said, he's a white supremacist. Honestly, I could understand why you would react to someone like Andrew Wilson in that manner. And I find it funny, these guys, they act like they have to feel embarrassment for a handful of Negroes that act out, when it's like, white people don't run around acting like this. They don't run around with this behavior. They don't run around acting like the minority of them that act a fool are somehow to be looked at as, the example for the whole white community, right? They don't run around saying, well, this handful of whites that are acting out, I feel embarrassed on behalf of them. Some of them may, but overall, they don't really push the same sentiment like you goofies do, like you Sambos do. And it's because y'all want white acceptance, because y'all know, a lot of these white people, when they see a few niggas acting out, that they extrapolate that to all black people. So you kind of want to have this thing where I feel embarrassed, you niggas need to act right for these good old white folk. And it's just like, bruh, you look goofy. You look goofy, bruh. You really, really do. But, yeah, let's continue this video.
I was so embarrassed. I was so damn embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. And I couldn't help but think to myself, like, and I even told the dude up there, I told him, I said, bro, Mark Lamont Hill already got that job. He's like, what job? The job you're trying to do right now. Mark Lamont Hill already got that job. He don't need no help with that. The supplicating black man that gets on panels and gets on talk shows and has to prove to the world that he believes the black woman is God by talking down on every black man on the planet, which he is also a member of. That shit. I'm sick of that shit. I'm sick of that shit. I am so sick and tired of black men with their self-deprecating ideology.
This is very ironic considering the tap.
Because he only got triggered because they asked me, what is a good woman, bare minimum? And I listed out some qualities, and two of the things I listed was cooking and cleaning. That's what triggered him. Because he said it. He said, why do women gotta cook and clean And black men, no, he didn't say black men, he said men. He said, why do women gotta cook and clean? Why y'all expect women to cook and clean and men can't even wipe their own asses? It's like, what? How would you know if men can wipe their behinds or not? He said, because you know.
I'm going to go for it a little bit. Just a little.
I said, bro, food. Why would he even show the talking about? I got news for you. I can't stand a bunch of you Negroes. Why is it every single time, like in 2025, why is it every single time there's a panel, Negroes gotta go full Black Panther, like y'all Negroes turn into Malcolm, Shabba-Hotep, you know, all of these different groups. Proven is that you're triggered by another person simply because of their race. Guess what that means? You're a fucking racist. That's what that means. If a white person joins the panel and all of a sudden you want to act different and you want to talk to them differently than the way you would talk to people that look like you.
Now, here's another thing I found funny. He says that if you're triggered by someone else's race, then that makes you a racist. Yeah, you're right about that. But see, here's the problem. He's trying to position this as if these black people are in the wrong for reacting the way they react to a fucking white supremacist. We're not going to get around this, bro. And not only that, but I find it funny how he acts like it's black people who are the ones with this type of mentality in the society. No, it's white people. Not only historically, but even current day. They are triggered by black people, it's merely existing. These people are a demented group of individuals. And, people like a Nick Fuentes, people like an Andrew Wilson and the goofies he hangs around, the white supremacists, they are triggered by niggas by black people merely existing. They're the ones with that mentality. They're the ones that, have this deranged mindset, where, a black person can walk inside of and there's stories of this where black people have said this has happened to them, where they're in like one of these, these smaller towns, probably, teetering to like a sundown town. They walk into the goddamn restaurant, wherever the place may be, and, all the white people get up and walk out. And then, someone will tell them like, yeah, they walked out because, you walked inside of the, the restaurant, they don't want to be around Negroes and whatnot. This still happens in 2025. And it's not by blacks, Angryman, you dumbass nigga. It's by the white people you tap dancing for that still today run around with this mentality. So the only ones running around triggered over someone's race is the people you tap dancing for, dumb nigga. The people that run around talking about black fatigue, that even created this dumbass shit talking about black fatigue. It shows you how they were triggered by someone's race. Because the whole black fatigue thing in and of itself is just racist in and of itself. Because we all know if it was the other way around and niggas started some shit saying white fatigue, you would have Angryman and all the other Sambos screaming at the top of their lungs on panels talking about y'all racist against these good old white folk. And y'all the new racists. Y'all's Jim Crow white men. This nigga has said this before, that black people are acting like Jim Crow white men. This nigga is a delusion. He's delusional, bro. So if it was the other way around, y'all know what I'm saying is true. They would be tap dancing, shoe shining, and all of the above because, black people were on TikTok and made the term white fatigue trend. They would be crashing out saying that y'all racist. But since it's black people, they tap dance for this shit. And all this is some racist shit, right? These white people focusing so much on black people while the economy's fucked up. All this shit's crumbling. Trump, the people y'all praise as God, he's not fixing shit. He's not fixing shit, and shit's only gonna get worse under Trump. I just can't. I cannot wait. A part of me can't wait to see the excuses you Negroes about to have, you Sambos about to have in the next coming months and in years of Trump's presidency as shit continues to crumble. I just want to know what excuses is y'all gonna have. Oh, this is because of Biden. Nigga, Biden ain't in office. Oh, it's the after effects of Biden. Well, why ain't Trump fixing it, nigga? Shut up, leftists. Like, this is what we're gonna see in the coming years, in the coming months, even. Fuck years, in the coming months. These are gonna be the type of excuses and dialogue that Sambos like Angryman are gonna be having. And he's going to be having this type of dialogue with people who, are going against Trump. He's going to be blocking niggas in his chat who say anything negative about Trump. He's going to be crashing out talking about Trump is a great president, even though everything around us in the perceivable reality will tell you otherwise. He's going to be tap dancing for Trump. Watch. Mark my words. Bookmark that shit. So it's just funny how, these clowns, they act as if black people are racist in the society. We're the ones running around. We're the new racists and shit. It's just laughable to see them, try to morph reality into something that's not present, bro. Like, y'all trying to act like reality warpers, bro. You're not the Beyonder from Marvel, bro. Just stop. This shit is insane.
You're a racist. That's literally what a racist is. That's literally what a racist is. Literally. Abe LLC said, no, it don't. Yes, it does. It absolutely does. Or maybe I was mistaken. Maybe I haven't watched black people complain for the better part of a century about how white people acted different when they showed up. Isn't that the basis of the whole civil rights movement? That white people was treating black people differently because they were black? Isn't that the foundation of the entire civil rights movement? And look, I've said this before and I say this again. Black people used to have the moral high ground. The reason why you don't have the moral high ground now is because you are literally doing the exact same thing that you have spent your entire life complaining about.
So here this dumbass nigga goes again. They're these Sambos, they're pushing this narrative. They're just repeating what the white nationalists say, the delusional shit they're saying. That the whites are under attack. Everyone, this anti-white racism. It's so hard being white in America. Like, just stop. Back to reality, goofy nigga. Are black people running around, turning white people into Christmas ornaments? I just want to know, is that occurring, dumb nigga? I want to know, is there mass groups, mobs of blacks going into white neighborhoods, dragging out whites that they're accusing of crimes they didn't commit, and turning them into Christmas decorations on the Christmas tree? I want to know, is that occurring, dumb nigga? I want to know if, there's black people, going and dragging whites out of their neighborhoods and attaching them to trees and, attaching them to trees and, firing rounds of ammunition at them while they're attached to the tree. Are there blacks running in white neighborhoods, dragging out whites and attaching them to trees and hitting them with blow torches, setting them ablaze with blow torches? Are these things happening, dumb nigga? Or the blacks running around attacking white people for simply existing while white? Is this something that is occurring? Maybe I'm out the loop. Maybe I've been living under a rock. Maybe I'm not hip to the news, bruh, but I'm pretty up to date when it comes to the news. I know I keep myself up to date when it comes to the news, for a various degree of reasons. So I'm always in the loop when it comes to the news and what's going on, right? But I haven't seen these stories, so maybe y'all can enlighten me in the chat. Maybe I don't know because I've been under a rock. Maybe I'm just oblivious, but I haven't seen these stories. So somebody enlighten me if y'all need, I need to know. Maybe Angryman, can enlighten us with a community post on his channel one day. And y'all can see it. I don't know. But I haven't seen these stories. But apparently this dumb nigga is telling us that, blacks are running around doing to whites as, they were done to in Jim Crow. Okay.
You're doing the exact same thing that you have spent your entire life complaining about. You're treating people different simply because of their color. I thought the goal was to eliminate racism, not become the racist. That's what I thought the goal was. I thought the goal was to get rid of racism, not become the racist. Eleanor said, what about the president? What about the president? What about the president? Separatism and racism are two different things. I'm ghetto fatigue and not black fatigue. So what you're telling me is segregation wasn't racism. So white only restaurants and white only businesses, that wasn't racism? That was separatism.
Well, we do have a white only town that's being made right now. I haven't seen Yokun ass come out and address that and call those white people out for being racist. But let it have been some black people that specifically said this is a blacks only town. You Sambo niggas would be doing jumping jacks. Y'all would be shining shoes. Y'all would be doing the most, screaming on panels, screaming into the mic, talking about you blacks is racist and y'all are the new Jim Crow. That's what y'all would be doing. But since it's white people that are doing it, you don't have a problem with it because you're a fucking Sambo.
Beano Nation, let me ask y'all a question. Shout out to Billy Goat Gruff. He said we used to call it home trained and down to earth people. Let me ask y'all a question, Beano Nation. Beano Nation. Why do we always have people that come into the chat room that want to try to justify black prejudice, knowing full and well that at some point in their life they have complained about white prejudice? Why do black people think they can win that argument? Why do black people think they can win that argument? Why do they even think that is an argument? Why do they think that it's even possible to make that argument? You can't make that argument. You can't make that argument. Because guess what? If you wanna try to promote that black people should be separatists today, and your reasoning is that, oh, well, we need to be separate because other groups of people don't like us, you're literally justifying Jim Crow.
Now, see, here's the difference with that, dumb nigga. Here's the difference. Let's say that was the argument that in mass black people were making. It's a lot different than, white people just, uh, 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 trying to segregate because they just hate niggas existing and breathing oxygen, right? Because even when we have this all white town that's being made right now, they're trying to do the victim Olympics. Basically they're trying to proclaim that, they're making the all white town because whites are under attack and they want to preserve white culture, which is actually laughable because what is white culture? Like, I don't know what they mean. Well, I do know what they mean. But they want to preserve quote unquote white culture. And they feel like they're under attack. They're Nazis on that. I hope y'all understand this, that the people that are in that group and the founder, he's a whole Nazi. He pushes the JQ and he pushes a lot of that goofiness, which there's the thing. That's a whole nother video when it comes to how the elites push, a lot of shit, controlled opposition and whatnot, and put people out there to put a little bit of, kibbles of truth out, but then there's still lies in there. So, he's pushing the JQ shit and, the whites are under attack from the Jews, complete nonsense. And, the blacks are subhuman and all the shit that, they believe on that whites only town, right? Very dangerous group we're dealing with. They are motivated by hatred. They're not motivated by any type of actual true preservation of any whiteness. They don't care about none of that dumb shit. They are motivated by the hatred of Negroes. They're motivated by delusion. They're motivated by evil. The black people who, if they were to make a town like that, on the other hand, would be motivated by actual self-preservation. They'll be motivated by escaping racism and white supremacy. And they would be motivated by having a fatigue of, the racism that they are enduring in the society, the systemic racism, which coon niggas like you act like doesn't exist, which we have the stats. I know you niggas can't count or read. I understand it's hard for y'all, but they would be that's what they would be concerned over. That's what their town would be based on. But the whites only town is based on hatred. The whites only town is based on white supremacy and wickedness. There's a complete difference, you dumbass nigga.
You're literally justifying Jim Crow. Because the same way you're making the argument that we shouldn't be around a different race of people simply because there's animosity there. Or let's be real about it. Let's be real. Most of you black folks that think that way, you want to be separate because you don't like white people. Let's be clear. Let's be clear, right? Shout out to DeAndre. Said, salute to you, A.
Like I said, the tap dancing is out of this world with this nigga, man. So he's trying to say that the black people will want to be separate because they don't like white people. Hey, Angryman, if you need some new shoes, bruh, I will send you them. Because I know the bottom of them bitches is done, bruh. I know they're done for, bro. Because you been tap dancing and I know the bottom of them bitches is cooked, bro. They're fried. So if you need a new pair of shoes, hit me up, bro. I will hit you up in the Cash App for a new pair of shoes, bro. And hopefully you actually stop the tap dancing. But if you continue, that's you, bro. But I'll hit you up with a new pair of shoes. We can't have niggas out here barefoot, you feel me? But this nigga is trying to act like the black people are the ones with the hatred. The black people will be the ones running around with the notion of, they just don't like white people. Which I find to be funny because we have a whole whites only town being made right now off of the premise of not liking blacks. That is just ironic, bro. Like I said, this nigga is trying to create a new reality that is not here, bruh. Like, nigga, we on Earth 616. I don't know where you at, nigga, but you not on the same earth, bro. Cause I'm really starting to think this nigga on a whole nother dimension I'm not on, bro. He on a whole nother universe. What is he talking about? We have a whole whites only town being made off the very premise, the opposite of what he's saying.
Question, what are your thoughts on 19 Keys and the smart guy? I don't have any thoughts on it.
And I'm gonna fast forward on some of this shit though.
Your ideological viewpoint that's different than mine, and I got a beef. And ask them what their thoughts are on about what other content creators. Absolutely no thoughts on it. Oh no, Kendra, they not derailing today. It's kind of it's proving the point. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I'm watching as black people are transforming into the thing that they claim is wicked and evil. Because I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to be crystal clear when I say it. A lot of you black folks today that have this separatist attitude, this we need to be separated from every other group mentality, it's because you don't like white people. It's not because they did something wrong to you. Because they are not their forebearers that enslaved you, and you are not your forebearers that were enslaved.
So here this cool nigga goes with this narrative. Here's the problem with that narrative, dumb nigga. It has to be under the premise that racism no longer exists, or that rather systemic racism no longer exists, more importantly, I should say. And it still does. You saying that the forebears of whites, you know, they're not their ancestors or whatnot. That doesn't really matter, because no one's running around talking about like, oh, we hate them because of, you know, what was done in slavery. That is a component to it, but more so it's compounded on the fact that these racist white devils that you tap dance for have not made any restitution for the crimes of their ancestors, dumb nigga. And because of that, it has led to the effects we see in the black community today. The crime you niggas love to complain about and talk about, you blacks, you Negroes, need to fix this crime and that. This crime is a culmination of black sabotage throughout history, which has led to the YNs we see in the black community today. And there is no such thing as niggas is hating white people because of, you know, they just hate them because of what their forebears have done, but rather the effects of the black community that has been waged by the white community till this very day, and how even today we're still having to deal with systemic racism. We're still having to deal with a lot of these problems. It's damn near every other day that I see a video of some racist bullshit from some white motherfuckers, bro. And this is just not even on the systemic shit, but, you know, just goofy shit like, you know, I made a video a couple days ago. Well, not a couple days ago. It was maybe like a week ago now, of a white couple, you know, coming out the house because some black person came up there, you know, notifying them of some sort of thing in their area that was being sold or something of that effect. And, you know, the white dude comes out screaming, crashing out, calling the dude the N-word, the hard R, and saying that he was going to, if he comes back, he was going to turn him into a Christmas tree decoration, you know, if you catch my drift. So he threatened to turn a man into a Christmas tree decoration because he came to his house and the white dude assumed, right, he didn't even you know, try to inquire on exactly what the man was trying to do. He just assumed he's soliciting. He didn't really necessarily know. He assumed that he was trying to sell, you know, Subway sandwiches or some shit, you know, just ignorant shit, you know, and, you know, threatened to hang him, threatened to turn him into a Christmas tree decoration. And like I said in that video, man, I'm just glad none of this shit happens to me, because I'm gonna be going viral for a whole nother reason. I'm gonna be laying a motherfucker out, right? You know, I'm gonna be laying a motherfucker out on TikTok. It would be viral on TikTok if anyone was recording an event happening. I'm laying a motherfucker out, right? You're not doing that shit to me, bro. You bugging all the way out, talking about you about to turn me into a Christmas decoration because because you think someone's soliciting, bro. Like, but these are the people that say we got low impulse control, right? But anyway, there is no black people running around in mass saying the shit that Angryman is saying.
So you can't be upset with them. You can't be upset with them for what their forebears did to your forebears. You can dislike them because of it. Shout out to Billy Goat Gruff. You can dislike them because of it, and you're well within your rights to do that. But let's not beat around the bush, and let's not pretend like we don't know what it is. At the end of the day, the entire chip that you have on your shoulder is because you don't like white people. Now, the moment that you start acting on that and start doing things because you don't like white people, you are literally justifying Jim Crow. Unless you're one of these people that just want to get your get back. And you don't really care about justice. You don't really care about equality. You don't really care about any of that stuff. You just care about getting someone back for a perceived slight. Mike said we don't owe them shit, and they don't owe you shit. They don't owe you nothing.
So let Angryman tell it. Reparations, which has been given to every other group, right? Let Angryman tell it. There is no sort of restitution that needs to be made for the sins of what's happened to black people, not only during slavery, but also Jim Crow. Let this Sambo ass nigga tell it. And see, it's funny because the very crime you dumb niggas is complaining about is all a direct result of that. And the sabotage, I mean, it's so much sabotage. The more I'm looking through history, the more I'm seeing all of the land that was stolen, more neighborhoods that was burnt down. It's just crazy to read through this historical record and then to listen to a Sambo nigga like this run around and say dumbass shit like this. And this is something that I noticed too, is a lot of these goofy niggas like Angryman, they get a little bit of money and they want to play this elitism game like they so high and mighty. They want to get on this conservative shit because a lot of niggas think that it's cool to be some, asshole conservative who's running around thinking he's better than other people because he has money, an arbitrary currency. It just shows the lack of character. It shows the lack of intellect. It shows the lack of esteem. It shows the lack of self-confidence. It shows lack of self-esteem, because if you have to define yourself off of an arbitrary currency like this, to me, it shows that you don't really have any true character. You don't have any true you don't really have anything outside of this goofy ass shit that you're attaching yourself to when it comes to, money. And I'm not saying that, being broke is a good thing. No. Don't take this in that manner. I'm saying that, people who attach themselves to money and try to act like it's the end all be all, or define it as their character, act like, they take on this elitism mindset when they get money, it just shows what type of individual they are. But Angryman wants us to think that, there's no restitution needs to be made, and that, well then, I mean, if things are not fixed, right? We have, like, because any other thing in society, you dumb niggas would have no problem being fixed. The economy, if the economy's fucked up, people are going to be poor, crime's going to increase. You understand that needs to be fixed. But apparently when it comes to the damages done to the black community, none of that needs to be repaired. But this is what happens when niggas start tap dancing. They just start saying shit like this.
What do they owe you? What do they owe you? They don't owe you anything. Said respectfully, Jim Crow can't be justified. Then quit justifying it. Then quit justifying it.
No nigga is justifying Jim Crow.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Are we not the same group of people that if a white person comes to a black neighborhood by themselves where they don't know anybody, you're telling me black folks not gonna jump on them and beat them up for no reason, other than
You know what? I should have made a volume disclaimer as well, because the tap dancing is so loud, bro. Like, if you got headphones on, I apologize, right? So now this goofy nigga is trying to say that white people are going in black hoods and getting jumped for being white. Now, this does not happen. There's no mass influx of this occurring. In fact, you know, and in past videos, I've said, you know, I'm not from the hood, I'm from the suburbs. So some of you might be saying, oh, how would you know? Well, I've still been in the hood. I've been around people in the hood because I still have people in my family that have, you know, lived in the hood or still do live in the hood or whatever, right? And, you know, being in that environment and seeing how shit operates, there are white people that live in the hood too. People that walk down the sidewalks, whatever the case may be. And there's never been a case where, you know, we're sitting on the porch or something and we see a white person walking and we just, you know, drop all our belongings and, you know, just crash out and go attack them because they're white. This doesn't happen. And I really feel like Angryman, he understand. Either this, like I said, the tap dancing is out of this world. And this is, like I said, this is why he's getting these tether allegations too, because if you were FBA, you understand none of this shit is happening. Now, a tether would say something like this because they don't even understand the dynamics in this country. They come off the boat and they just parrot anything racist whites say. So this is something a tether would say. But I don't think everybody is a tether, but this is how you get tether allegations when you running around saying shit like this. And this is how you get Sambo allegations in general, because this does not happen, bro. It does not happen. None of this shit is occurring. You know, Angryman is making shit up. If anything, it's the other way around. If anything, if you were a black person, you could find yourself in a white neighborhood, you know, like a sundown town type area, and you could find yourself becoming a Christmas tree decoration. You could find yourself trapped. You could find yourself strapped to the back of a truck. And you know, getting flung around, you know, in the back of that motherfucker while they're driving, and you're skidding on the fucking asphalt, right? You could find yourself deleted and thrown in a river, and then alligators would proceed to eat your remains. That's what could happen if you find yourself in the wrong neighborhood as a black person in this country. But the same cannot be said for so-called white people. The same cannot be said. You're not going to find yourself as a white person going in the hood, finding yourself turned into a Christmas tree decoration. You are not going to find yourself strapped to the back of a truck and turned into, you know, a goddamn, a fucking, a monstrosity of a corpse. You're not going to find yourself thrown into a river to be then consumed by alligators or crocodiles. You're not going to find this shit happening, bruh. But yet Angryman wants us to believe that white people are walking into black neighborhoods and being assaulted for merely being white. This is like I said, this nigga is not living in the same reality we living in, bruh. Like, nobody is believing this dumb shit that has half a brain. Like, y'all gotta stop, bro. Because nobody is believing this shit. Because it's not in our perceivable reality, dumb nigga. Angryman is telling us the sky is orange when it's not. And this is the level of delusion he's running around with. It's absolutely insane.
The fact that they're white. So if a white person that does not live in a black neighborhood goes to that black neighborhood, he's not going to get beat up simply because he's white.
No, dumb nigga.
Mike said no. Do y'all believe that?
You notice this nigga is showing no proof. Y'all notice they never can do that because it's not, like I said, it's not in reality.
See, the funniest thing in the world is when y'all pretend like you don't act like racist white people in order to justify or in order to continue to play victim. And then right after that, you go do some ish that's just...
Once again, dumb nigga, where are the images of mobs of black people smiling in pictures while white people are, on a Christmas tree, as a Christmas tree decoration, right? Where are these images, Angryman? If these niggas is acting like Jim Crow whites, where are the images of blacks standing in mobs, smiling and cheesing as white people above them are Christmas tree decorations? Where is that, dumb nigga?
Like racist white people. See, I'm gonna tell you what it is with black people, and this is why nobody takes black folks seriously. This is why nobody takes black folks seriously, and this is why you're gonna continue to be a laughing stock. Because you behave like children or women. Anytime you do something, the means justify the end. Excuse me, the ends justify the means. When someone who's non-black does something,
This chair fucking sucks.
the ends never justify the means. See, you're not mad at the injustice of racism or slavery. You're just mad you weren't the one that was able to do it.
So now this dumb nigga wants us to believe that black people are mad because they didn't get to engage in slavery. Really, dumb nigga? Really, goofy nigga? So now the talking point of this goofy nigga is that niggas are mad because they weren't the ones turning people into Christmas tree decorations, because they weren't the ones assaulting women sexually and not being held accountable for it. Now he wants us to believe that niggas are mad because they are not the ones that were having people in the fields picking cotton. Like, what is this nigga talking about? Where is this complaint from niggas? Where at? Where are we extrapolating this mentality from? Because it's nowhere to be found. There are no black people doing this. There are no black people saying this. There is not even any inkling that this is any position that any black person holds. Yet Angryman is running around and wants us to believe that this is the position of black people in the society. And they're mad because they were not the ones, whipping whipping people. Like this nigga is insane.
It's like the poor guy that acts like a rich guy is a piece of crap for having money. And you start saying, well, it doesn't make sense that that guy should be a billionaire with all of the poor people in the world and all of the homeless people.
This is the dumbest analogy ever.
You're just using that to make it seem like your argument is noble. You're just using that to make it seem like you're saying something righteous. When really in the back of your mind, the only reason you mad at that billionaire for being a billionaire is because he's one and you're not. You're not mad at white people because of racism. You're not even mad at white people because of slavery. You're mad at white people because of the position they have on this planet. And the position they've had for a little while now. That's what you're mad about. You're just like, let me tell you something. You're just like the security guard on the wire. Remember when Marlo said, you want it to be one way. You want it to be one way. And see, if I was white, that would be the argument I would raise against all of you. I'd say, you want it to be one way, don't you? You want it to be one way. And then y'all would get mad and be like, stop saying that. No, you want it to be one way. But it's the other way. Just say it. Just own it. Just own it so we can get on with this shit.
This nigga's
the
delusional.
Lord one said, you hit the nail on the head, AM. Y'all keep messing around if you want to. Mess around and get another crime bill. That's what it is. You want it to be one way. But it's the other way. That's all it is. You want their position. And here's the funny thing. This is what's so funny about this. You think you can guilt them into relinquishing their power and giving it to you. That's the funny thing. You honestly think you can guilt an entire group of people into saying, you know what? You guys are right. We've had power long enough. It's your turn to have power.
In what world is anyone saying this dumb shit? The only complaints you see is niggas want justice. I don't know what this nigga is talking about. This nigga, he's not on the same planet. I've been saying this.
It's your turn to do to us what we did to you. But ask yourself this question. Ask yourself this question. Would we be doing to them what they did to us? Or did they do to us what we did to them in the past?
Now this dumb nigga's trying to make it seem like black people have done any of the shit white people did to black people during antebellum slavery. No. The close thing that you could even say, I'll just go back to the Moors. I ain't gonna go back further than that because there's really no need to. You really can't even make a case with the Moors because the Moors were not doing any of that shit. They may have had white people in a position that is similar to some sort of servitude, but it would be more in line with indentured servitude, nowhere near, chattel slavery. That wasn't occurring. Any type of, you know, sexual assault, like with slavery, which even some of that is embellished. That's a whole nother topic. Um, that was a lot of that was consensual, right? Unlike, some of the instances during slavery. This goofy nigga wants us to believe that black people, I guess, engaged in the same sort of enslavement of whites, on par with chattel slavery. Completely ahistorical. This nigga's delusional.
Ray said, nope. Oh, so you don't know the history of the world? So black people were never conquerors.
Your buddy Nick Fuentes doesn't know the history of the world. He believes that there were no two-story buildings in Africa. Now, mind you, black people in America are not Africans. They are Shemitic black people. Africans are Hamites. It's a whole other topic. But even if we're going with that, your buddy Nick Fuentes believes that blacks never built a civilization and didn't have two-story buildings built. Just to let you know that. So if anyone doesn't know history, it's the goofy niggas you tap dance for.
Black people never engaged in warfare. That's what you think? Shout out to Terrell. He said, for all you trolls in the comments, drop some bread if you want some damn attention. And no, we don't accept EBT.
Not funny.
Yo, make sure y'all hitting the Cash App and supporting the show for this real talk, for this real conversation.
This is what's considered real talk to these niggas.
Like, for instance, here's another truth for you. Here's another truth for you, because
this is why people say Americans are dumb.
It's the truth that we all know, that black people know, but we don't like to say it out loud for whatever reasons. The well-to-do, intelligent black people, we don't say it out loud because we don't want the rest of the black folk to look bad. The black folk that ain't educated, that ain't intelligent, that engage in drama all the time, they don't want to say it out loud because they want to continue playing the victim. Shout out to Donnell for being a sponsor. He said, what's up, AM? Awesome job last night. The knowledge that you gave that young man, you can priceless. Appreciate you. Here's another truth for you. Here's another truism for you, right? The only reason that black people love the Democrats and hate the Republicans is because the Democrats will always pass legislation that enables you to be a lazy, shiftless bum. And the Republicans will always pass legislation that will make you have to get up off your ass and do something.
I'm about to give my remarks on this last dumbass shit he just said, and then I'm gonna give my conclusion in this video. I can't take this tap dancing no more. I can't, bro. My IQ is dropping. If I listen to this nigga any longer, I will be a vegetable. When it comes to politics, right? I've said in past videos that none of these political parties, they're all ran by the same people. None of these political parties are at all independent in terms of, some sort of we're our own position over here and we're on this position here. They play a game. Democrats and Republicans, two wings on the same bird. Both controlled by the same people. But here's the thing. And I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican. Like I said, all this shit is bullshit. But when it comes to a lot of these niggas that identify with the conservative party, like these Sambos, and this is what gives a lot of the conservatives a bad name, because you have Sambos like this running around. These are not real conservatives. These are Sambo soldiers. The It's funny because even when you look at the politics of the conservative party, a lot of this shit is just not good. It's like people just follow along with what they believe is supposed to be highfalutin and high class, right? People view the conservatives as these high class individuals. You know, the suits, they're so eloquent in their speech, and it's like, no, these motherfuckers, they say so much dumb shit. You know, you listen to Charlie Kirk, and it's like I'm absolutely in complete disbelief that people even follow a dumbass idiot like that. You know, he goes on his college campuses, goes to college campuses, and, he finds college kids who are not, they're very inept when it comes to politics because they're college kids. None of these kids are a lot of people don't, when it comes to, a lot of the college kids, you have people who go there for politics, but they're not in mass. He's not really debating any of them like that. He's debating people who are completely ignorant, people who are going to college to I don't know, do crocheting. I don't fucking know. They don't know shit about politics. And he takes advantage of these people who are not versed in that field. But Charlie Kirk doesn't debate people on his level. He doesn't debate people that are versed in his field. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't do that. He doesn't want to debate someone who could give him any type of real pushback. And, even though, I think Nick Fuentes is an agent, I said in my last video, I don't know how true it is that, the whole Charlie Kirk is avoiding Nick Fuentes thing, if that's just a part of the, the stage. But, Charlie Kirk, if it's all organic, I mean, he's running away from a debate with Nick Fuentes. And Nick Fuentes is a fucking idiot. I'm gonna keep it a bean. He is not an intellect whatsoever. So it's like he can't even debate him. But Charlie Kirk's supposed to be revered as intellect in the conservative space. It's absolutely laughable. These conservatives push things that are not good for anyone. Capitalism, I got to make a separate video breaking down how capitalism is complete nonsense, especially what we're seeing now with the effects of capitalism. We are reaching a point where, people are not able to sustain themselves. They can't afford rent. They can't afford a house. This is all thanks to the end game of capitalism, bro. And don't even come in here saying you a communist, bro. No, we're not gonna do that. Not no communist. Like I said, I gotta do a separate video on my whole view on the economic scheme of things. But capitalism is not the way. It's not. It's not. We cannot have a system like this. It's completely goofy. And that's a whole nother video. But the whole thing with these conservatives, man, I mean, we got people that, they're trying to cut health care. They're trying to cut all of these things. And you have goofies running around acting like this is the way. The liberals, I mean, they're definitely not the way either because they on some whole other goofiness as well. Both sides is on complete nonsense. And people need to realize there has to be a new way, a new pathway. People want to follow along with these old relic ways, and people think that doing something new is somehow incorrect. If everyone operated like that throughout human history, we would not even be where we are right now in history. If everyone just kept doing the same shit and never thought to innovate. There has to be something entirely different outside of both of these goofy political parties. But that's a whole nother video. This notion, though, that black people support the Democrats because they want to be shiftless and lazy is complete goofiness. The real reason you have a lot of black people support the Democrat Party, even though I think they shouldn't be supporting the Democrat Party, is because the Republicans have presented themselves and shown themselves to be racist. So nobody wants to follow a party that is anti-black and has a lot of anti-black sentiments and ignores history and likes to just obfuscate from all the things that have happened in this country to black people and act like everything is no longer racist and, DEI, it was just, giving black people shit they didn't earn and all this dumb shit they've come up with, woke shit, all that, bro. The Republicans have shown themselves to be a party of racists. And the people that follow them don't make it any better a lot of times. So a lot of black people feel like they have no other choice but to vote for the Democrats. And then you find yourself in a bad situation either way. And that's how they get you. You can't just go with the lesser of two evils because both are evil. So, I mean, there is no lesser of two evils. I mean, do you want Dark Sidious or do you want Darth Vader? I mean, both are pretty fucked up. I don't know, bruh. It's not really a good way to go either way, you know what I'm saying? So this is kind of like where people are at. That's why black people vote for the Democrats, not because they want to be shiftless and lazy. I'm about to go ahead and end this video. Angryman is a Sambo. He just went on a complete Sambo crash out. I had to break down everything up until this point to just debunk the nonsense that he was pushing in this video with this goofy black fatigue shit. And, you know, this goofy man, he when people say, oh, you know, he's a sellout, he's a Sambo, this is why you get the Sambo allegations, dumb nigga. This is why people say that you're tap dancing and that they're going to quote unquote revoke your black card because you're doing shit like this that's easily debunked. And it's insane, bro. But, you know, like I said, I'm about to end this video. This has been a longer one. Had to do this though. Had to do this. I gotta get off this video. I want to try to get in a little bit of work today. I gotta start working on. Got some stuff I gotta work on my fucking computer, man. So I gotta get some of that shit in before I go to sleep. But my next video, I'm going in on Anton Daniels. That's probably gonna be another long one because I got a video of his to review and the goofy shit he was saying. You know, the Sambo Avengers are on full force right now, bro. They not playing no games. The Sambo Avengers is in full form, bro. They in full form, bro. You know what I'm saying? They in full form. But that's all I gotta say for this video, man. I'm out.